What was the process of writing all the scripts? How long did that take? And who's all on the writing team?
It's just me. At least for season one, it was
Oh,
just me,
wow.
which was so
Wow.
intimidating. There's a lot to get right and a lot that you can get wrong. It took me about 3 months to write the new episodes. So we'd already done the pilot, right? I wrote the pilot in probably about 2 weeks. Once I reread that story about Jethro, it kind of really, it's not, I don't think over spiritualizing it to say that it felt like God just put it on my heart. I was like, okay,
Hmm.
let me try it. Let me just see if I can do this, get it right, all that. And then when we were preparing for season one, I knew I had to write 5 more episodes to finish out the season. And it took me about 3 months. A lot of that was preparation. I'd kind of had a loose outline of what I would do in season one, but originally it was going to be longer. Like we were thinking about doing a 10 episode first season, which would have been too expensive, but also it would have had a different stopping place. And I
Mm.
really, you'll see in season one, small spoilers, but I think it's okay. We basically go to the end of Exodus in season one. So we go to when the tabernacle has been built. And for me, the moment the tabernacle is finished, I was like, that feels like our finale for season one. And if you only get
Yeah.
one season, I hope it's a good one. But so I wanted to feel like, it could end here. It hopefully is not going to end here, right? But if you're going to end somewhere, let's end on this kind of moment of holiness and celebration that happens once they've built the tabernacle. Anyway, so I knew those were kind of my parameters. And so then it was a matter of going through and saying, okay, what is our focus, right? Our focus in season one is on the leadership, right? It's taking what we learned from Jethro and going through how does it work to lead the nation when you're not doing it yourself, when Aaron is also in charge and Miriam is in charge, and Moses appoints chiefs and elders to help him lead the nation as well. And so kind of all of the decisions were like, what are the stories in between here? I don't want to miss anything. My hope with the show is that I literally capture more or less every story. Even if they're really small, really big, whatever they are, I want to capture most of them, whatever kind of feels like it makes sense and fits into the show. And so I was trying to look at all those and connect them through that through line of leadership. And it was honestly a lot of fun. It was cool to be able to go back and rewrite for these characters, having done the pilot.
Mm.
And, I can write and hear their voices. And I'm like, okay, this is what Joshua sounds like. This is what Korah sounds like. And Cece and all these different characters. I'm writing with kind of their performance in mind. And
Mm.
it was a very, honestly, fulfilling experience doing the writing of season one.
Will each episode have a lesson pertaining to leadership or
That's a good question. I don't know that each lesson is, or sorry, each episode is quite lesson driven. I think it's a little bit more, every episode has a moment of heart in it.
Mm,
Some of them are lessons. Some of them are people learning something. Some of them are characters who are growing. Some of them are moments of failure or moments of
mm,
fear. So some of them, it's not quite as direct as being a lesson. Though that's a great insight into what this is. Sometimes it's a little bit more like we're on a journey with these people, and sometimes
mm.
they fail, and sometimes it kind of hurts for a minute.
Relatability?
Yeah, and well, and
Yeah.
sometimes that moment of failure is not even something that they did wrong. It's just like, man, I was hoping this would work out and it just didn't. You know what I mean? And so that
Yeah.
sometimes that's there I'm sure there are lessons in that, but mostly we're just kind of they all kind of have a moment where it's like, and then it gets, they overcome or they come through it or they, try to resolve it by the next one, I guess.
Well, you said you were doing it for 3 months. You were writing the story for 3 months.
Yeah,
Was that, oh, I'm going to a log cabin? Or is that like I
I
wrote that in
wish.
the evenings after did The Chosen?
No, yeah, I certainly have done that. There's actually a movie coming out in February called Still Hope
Hmm.
that I co-wrote the script of that. I kind of came on to do rewrites of it before they filmed. That one I did all the writing of while I was on set on The Chosen. I was
Oh my
coming
goodness.
home or on the weekends and I was like, just trying my best to, and it's a totally different movie. It's not a funny movie. It's a very serious kind of beautiful story. But anyways, yeah, I did that while I was on set. No, thankfully for the Promised Land, I was able to do all the writing in a
Mhm.
gap. It was, I just finished a project and The Chosen had not started back up again this would have been going into season five. And so from January to March, and I went to The Chosen at the end of March, I got a chance to just kind of sit at home and write, which is great. And so I'm writing like in our room, in the living room. I'd go out and sit in like a coffee shop or whatever. Honestly, I think I've done most of the writing of this show in Starbucks, just in a corner somewhere, just talking to myself because I'm saying all the dialogue as I'm writing it. Just looking like a crazy person. If you ever are at a Starbucks, there's a good chance you might see me in a corner just like, "Oh, Moses, how old are you today?" Just doing all these silly characters.